It being 7 PM on Wednesday, February 21st, 2024, we'll begin tonight's Select Board meeting. The first item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone here for public comment? There is not. The next item, review of minutes for January 17th, 2024. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes for January 17th, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next item on the agenda, American Rescue Plan Act recommendations. We have a facilities request. Could you come up to the table and introduce yourself, please?
Brian Farragut, Facilities Director. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, Brian.
I think everyone has the two quotes, and I have a little write-up just explaining kind of why the request. So both of these are air quality improvement projects, and they're focused at the Clinton Fire Station. I know Chief Lutz and our department have been kind of, I don't want to say kicking the can, but it was in his bucket really at the beginning of this, but it's more facilities oversight. So I told him I would do some research, reach out to some contractors, get some pricing, and then come to the board for a request. The first item is window replacement, and after speaking with him, based on the information he gave me, they haven't been replaced since they entered that building back in, I think he said 84. So I did get a quote on 21 windows, the same style, the crank style that they seem to like. And it came in around $74,000, but I do have a warrant article with a balance in it of a little over $11,000 that I think we can use to supplement this, that we can kind of spend the remainder of that balance and then include it into this price. So it kind of kills two birds with one stone there. It is only one quote. It won't be higher than this. It might be lower. So if there's any additional, remaining funds from this, then it can get certainly sent back into the pot of ARPA funds. So just to give you an idea, this is the quote we get from Anderson Window. I will be looking for additional quotes, but it won't, like I said, it won't be higher than this. So, the second one is a rooftop heating and cooling unit. I want to say 5 or 6 years ago, prior to me taking this position, they replaced 2 out of the 3 units on the roof down there. This is for kind of the office areas, and I did have, the quote we got was, I did have them go look to see the benefit of a repair versus replace, and the cost was more beneficial to kind of replace the unit and get a fresh start of if we maintain it, which we're going to put it in PM plans, we should get another 20 years out of a new unit. So that came in at $28,000, and I'm requesting $30,000 just for any contingencies, and if it takes a little bit to get this process started, if there's any fluctuation in pricing. So I went a little bit higher than the actual quote. So a total of both projects, $95,000.
Very good. Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just curious, the overall health of that building is,
It's not bad.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not bad. I think this is a big help for at least the ventilation.
Yeah.
Windows are a big piece of this as well.
Yeah.
We're not shooting, and things aren't coming in, pollen, that type of stuff.
Great.
Seals break over years. So I think both of these are good projects. They work kind of coincide with green communities, stuff that we're trying to do with more energy efficiency. So they kind of fall into that bucket as well. So, but overall, the building's in fairly decent shape.
thank you.
Yeah.
And I would just ask that, if we don't approve it, would that be something that would be like a warrant article in order to raise funds for that?
Most likely. The windows, at least, most likely the windows would be, we might be able to figure out
Like,
in my
budget.
operating budget for a rooftop unit replacement. But this was a good opportunity based on, air quality improvements that I thought it would be
fall
a good
into that
request.
ARPA.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And with this, you'd be able to get a jump on it sooner rather than having to wait.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Any other questions? What's the pleasure of the board?
I will move to approve the request for $95,000 in funding for upgrades to the Clinton Fire Station.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
The next item on the agenda is the town administrator report.
And Mr. Chair, I had a few items to go over. Okay, first off, just wanted to announce that I know we talked about the last meeting as well, that the new DPW superintendent started yesterday. So he's on the job. I know Mr. McGowan is helping him, Kevin Bartlett, with the transition. So he's settling into his space in the office here. So, secondly, just wanted to let the board know that yesterday we conducted a department head meeting. A couple things we talked about. One is the customer service meeting that we talked at the last meeting, that the consultant was out to meet with department heads to go over the recommendations. I know it's on the agenda, so I don't know if we want to talk about here or wait till the agenda item, but Mary from Collins Center did go through her report, her recommendations, what her observations were, and just, kind of opened up for any comment from the members, so from any of the department heads. So with that, we'll probably be looking to go to the next step to develop the implementation plan. I know we've had some comments from board members, so since this meeting just happened yesterday, internally as staff, we haven't put together a document or a recommendation document for the board, but we could have that for next meeting if that's something you want to have on the agenda or discuss today to come up with more input, however the board feels on that. Another item at that meeting that we rolled out, formal time cards that we're going to be requesting for all town employees to complete. It would be stating their hours of work each day with any leave time that they've taken for that week. The employee would complete and sign, and then their supervisor, department head would approve and then send to Treasury for payroll, and then treasurer would then keep track of all the time, of all the use time. So we'll have a central location and kind of a formal reporting with a central repository for all that information. So I thank the Human Resources for getting that together, and we were able to start rolling that out. So just wanted to mention a couple of major incidents that went on in town since the last meeting. One was on February 8th. There was a bomb scare at Clinton Courthouse. The Mass State Police responded, and along with the Clinton Police and court officers, they went around, checked the building, checked the grounds, and ended up finding that the property was safe and people were allowed to return back inside for court business and for work. At the same time, there was an unrelated incident, which happened to be a coincidence, that at that same time, there were some federal agents and police from Danbury, Connecticut that were there. There was a vehicle that had been located at the courthouse that was of a suspect, of an individual was wanted for some violent offenses down in Connecticut. So they made an arrest of that individual. So there was a lot of response at the scene at that time, but there were two different incidents, and I know there was kind of some confusion in traffic back up with all the emergency response that was happening there. But the Clinton police were able to handle that quickly and resolve the matter, and everything seemed to work out okay. The other issue was on February 12th, we had a severe flooding incident on Main Street. There was some work being done near railroad property and behind the warehouse, behind Main Street, on kind of as you're going towards McDonald's and Rite Aid. There were two properties that were flooded. one that was severely flooded. Their basement filled up to the point where they had to evacuate the residents, the family that was living there, and turn off the power. So they had to be put up in a shelter for the night. It was for 2 nights till the water went down and the building could be re-inspected. The property next door, they had some pumps in their basement. They were able to keep up with it. They did get some flooding as well, but they were able to stay in their house, in their property at the time. But just wanted to thank all of the response from town officials, from fire, police, Public Works, to all the inspectors, and animal control came in to take the pets during the evacuation. Mr. Duffy helped work with Wheat to find lodging for the family. So, and now as, post-response, again, trying to do what we can to make sure that the property is safe and cleared and that there's no problem with mold or incident. We did have an opportunity where Surf Pro were willing to come in to donate their services to help the people clean up there as well too. So just thank everyone involved in that, and it could have been worse, but it was very emotional and stressful situation for the people that were affected just out of the blue, unexpected. So we appreciate all the help that they were given.
Mr. Chair.
Sure.
Michael, have we narrowed down the cause of this? It was work on the railroad track that clipped the...
Yeah, there was
hydrant?
work. There's a hydrant that services the warehouse, and apparently the line was kind of, according to the contractor from the railroad, that the line was kind of old and rusty, that they didn't hit it supposedly, that they said through vibration it kind of caused a break in the pipe and it started to leak. So it was coming downhill and there was a lot of water there from that whole Greeley Hill section that was just pouring right onto Main Street. So it was all private property, private contractors. They did the repair, DPW helped and got involved to turn off the water so that we could respond to the flooding. But then all the work and repair was done by private entities, so it wasn't the town that bared that responsibility. So.
And as far as residents trying to get whole on this thing, if they know who to talk to as far as insurance companies, like we've identified who's responsible.
Yep, absolutely, yep. So I know there's, questions on, the capacity to be able to, some of the different parties involved, and including the town, if there was something that we felt the town, should put in for as well too, that we're gonna, try to help at least pinpoint everyone in the right direction about where to file their paperwork for
Thank you.
any expenses. So, All right.
I just had one question about the department heads meeting. Was that all the department heads in town, or is that everyone in this building?
No, the whole town, yep, it was all department heads from all the other buildings, all the town hall buildings as well too. I think we had maybe 22 attendees. I think there was one department head that was off out of work yesterday, but other than that, every other one did come. Yep. So I appreciated their participation, and it's something that we're going to look to do at least in the short term, at least monthly, and then ask for feedback to see if it's something they feel was useful and helpful to do on a more regular basis, or if monthly or quarterly would make more sense. But HR is doing some training in March and some training in April for department heads. So as part of that training meeting, we'll have a small part of that will be a department head meeting as well too, so we can kind of keep this going.
Very good.
Just the next item, just for formal notice, that last night the Permanent Building Committee met and they voted officially to vote the new middle school construction project to be sent to the state, to the Mass School Building Authority. I believe the package will be going in on Friday, and there will be a MSBA board meeting in April to consider whether or not that they will approve this for funding. So if anyone in the public wants more information, I know the owner's project manager has been set up a website and been trying to really put as much information up there as they can. So that website is www.clintonmiddleschoolbuildingproject.com. So I think even the whole package that'll be submitted to the state will be on that website as well. So.
And just to speak to that, there are a lot of questions, there are a lot of discussions that are taking place on social media with regard to that project. There's a lot of misinformation that's being spread as well. One thing that I can say for myself, the amount of time and information this group has put together to educate the public has been very thorough. So instead of speculating why things are being proposed the way they are, or just any questions you have, I encourage you to go to that website that Mr. Ward just shared. They have all of the meetings were all recorded. Greenlight Studios recorded the last meeting, and anything you have a question on, you will be able to hear directly from the people who presented at that meeting. So I encourage you to do so if you have any questions.
Thank you. The next item, just the building committee also approved contract for designer services for the Carriage House project for this Council on Aging. SSB Architects is the firm. They are skilled in historical restoration, so they will be doing a kind of a program feasibility analysis. The initial use of the building from the COA would be for a fitness center, but we're asking the architects to really look at the whole building to see if there are other possibilities there, and maybe construction will only be that section to do the fitness center, but at least look to see code compliance, future expansion or renovation of that property. So they'll be starting that work. The hope was to have, some type of direction maybe for town meeting, whether or not it's funding that would be, not knowing now what the cost of that funding will be, as to whether more funding will be needed. I know the Council on Aging currently has some sources that they could use for this, but if it becomes for the fitness portion, might be more than that they have, they might be coming back looking for additional funding. So that project is up and ready. Just wanted to give a quick update on the technology project update. I know we had people from all covered here that was dropping off some information to me tonight. They're finishing their back office work of doing kind of all their technical specs and their engineering analysis. The first steps, I think we may have talked about, that they're setting up the cloud environment, that is your environment. That'll be the platform that'll get established, and then they'll start adding things to it. They put together a specification for a desktop computer system that we're looking. Their initial spec was for 80 of them, whether we can fit that in the budget, but we're looking to bring all of the non-compliant computers up to speed, and anything that's at least over 3 years old, to try to get those up to speed as well. And it'll be all departments, not only town hall, and that they'll all be the same spec, the same make, model, so that it'll all be consistent on that as well too. So we're starting weekly project meetings so that we can kind of keep the board updated as we go along. And I stress to them our number one, once they get the cloud platform set up, our number one implementation will be the email. So probably at a future meeting, we'll be asking the board to set a policy or protocol as to, who gets emails and what access they would have. Because certainly we don't need to give everybody access to the whole suite, because it's going to be a per person monthly cost that we'll have. So we'll look at what those cost breakdowns are and decide, if it's just a volunteer board, does that board get one email? Do all the members get them? And obviously we won't need to give the whole Microsoft suite to everybody. But, that's something we can have a discussion on with the select board to see how you want to handle that once we get towards implementation. So, all right. And just a quick note, because I ended up having to get an email today on with the licensing portion. So they're going through the procurement process because the software vendor has to go through a company through the state that is on the state bid list. So they've just finalized their spec to them, and they've just submitted me, just this afternoon, a proposal as to a cost proposal for that, a formal price. So I haven't reviewed that yet, so that's ongoing as well too. So a lot of this will be going on, as well as with the technology project, the phone system too. They have different people in different divisions that will handle different aspects. So a lot of this stuff will all be done concurrently, so we don't have to wait for one thing to be done, then the next, and the next. It'll all be done simultaneously. So, but it's still going to take probably, they're saying, we're looking at like a 6-month process. The email they said would be probably a month, for 6 weeks or so, but the whole project would probably be a good 6-month implementation process. Just on the FY25 budget update, we've got mostly all budgets have been submitted. Couple others that we're just following up on, but the Finance Committee was looking to start in the beginning of March with joint meetings. So just something to think about, whether those are going to be at these meetings here, say for like an hour at the beginning, or if it'd be a different day, or how you want to handle those. I don't think that's been totally ironed out yet, or, and then we'll set up a schedule of what departments will be coming each week. So I think they wanted through the month of March and April to do all of those budget hearings together. And then for the end of April and May, each board will then kind of do their own deliberations at that point. So the same at the same time of year, it's the annual town report that we're moving forward on that. A lot of departments have submitted. Again, we have a few more that we're following up on. The hope is that we'll have a full production by April 15th. Probably earlier, that we'll have a PDF that we can put on the website before then, but hoping that by mid to late April, that we'll actually have the printed materials available as well too. So it gives people a month before, a good month to 6 weeks before town meeting, probably even, 6 weeks or so before town meeting, to be able to get copies and review them if they have any questions. So.
Great.
And the final item that I had was the ALS implementation plan. The company just gave me an update that they completed all of their work. The report has been submitted to their independent reviewer in their firm for a once-over, and they expect to have this on Monday to me so that I can distribute to all the select board members and finance committee members on February 26th. So.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
question. So once that report is submitted, do we get together with the finance committee and the fire department, and will they be a representative from that consultant group to also kind of like speak to the report, or how are we thinking that that's
Yeah, I
gonna
can
happen?
ask them, because part of their engagement, I'm sure they certainly would come out, until it was done. We didn't
Yeah.
want to set up what the next steps would be, but part of their engagement is that they were going to come out to do some of these interviews in person, but they were able to do them over Zoom. So now that allowed them the opportunity to still have in the budget for them to then come out to do a presentation on their report as well, too.
Yeah.
So, so whether you want to have that as a separate night, just to talk about that, or whether it would be part of the fire department's budget discussions, that's something, we can talk about how you want to handle that between the finance and the select board. But I think it should, definitely be a group meeting where everyone gets the information, can talk about it, and then, again, go back to your own boards and discuss how you want to proceed.
Just speaking for myself, but I think it would be worth at least having one meeting dedicated just to that. We've put enough time into it, and if a representative from the company that did the report could be here to answer questions. We can have the finance committee here, we can have the fire chief here, or whatever representatives from the fire department think are appropriate. And just kind of like start digging into it and see which direction we want to go.
I agree. I think as far as the ALS consideration, I would, any time we have to meet, aside from the budgeting, but I would be in favor of having that as a standalone meeting so we can dedicate the time necessary to it.
And so we know that what'd you say, by Monday, this coming Monday, Mike?
Right, they said by close of business on Monday, they would have the report emailed to me.
All right. So I don't know if it's worth tentatively throwing a couple dates out, but I don't know, what do you think is an appropriate amount of time for people to digest the report? Like 1 or 2 weeks?
I would sooner the better. I know there was a question from FinCom about a presentation from, if I understood the email correctly, that were they looking to have some discussion with the consultant on the findings?
They may have, I haven't spoken to them recently. I know, like, all select board members and all finance committee members interviewed with the consultant, so they may have had some discussions with them individually that I wasn't privy to, but I can reach out to the finance committee chair and ask if that's what they were looking for as well, too. I think the select board had mentioned that you would like to see that. I haven't talked to the finance committee about it, so.
Sure, yeah, the sooner the better.
Mr. Chair.
Sure.
On that note, what is the best way to move forward in scheduling the budget meetings? You said FinCom is interested in starting in March, and our next meeting is March. It's about 8 days away, so what's the best plan to move forward? Because I think it would be great to give department heads ample notice of what meetings they're expected to. Some feedback had been like, I didn't know until just now, 2 days, give them ample notice and say, on this meeting, on this date, we are inviting you in to go through your budget. So I know we, like you said, have done it maybe an hour earlier than our normal 7 o'clock start time to review those. I don't know if we want to start to create a more formal schedule to review those. Is it usually like our chair and you and the chair of the finance committee?
Yeah, come up with the schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know we definitely would like to plan out, as I have been asking department heads, or the major departments that I know in the past that they've had in, and I've been asking what kind of some blockout dates, if anyone's going away on vacation or stuff
Exactly.
like that. So we can then kind of work the schedule around to make sure everyone is available. But certainly you can work with finance committee chair. I know the chair of the finance committee, that she was very interested in seeing kind of that formal setup and getting department scheduled, to your point, so that people know when they're coming and they know when to expect that they'll be in. And everybody will have all the budgets, both select board and finance. You'll have a whole computation of the budgets all together with a kind of a breakdown of the anticipated or estimated revenues that we're looking at. So you'll have that, at least a preliminary to start to look over. So when you do go into those meetings, you'll have it certainly well ahead of time. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind meeting before our scheduled meetings, but I don't know if that's going to be enough time.
Yeah.
And I know on Wednesday, the 13th, I know sometimes we would meet like the Wednesday of our off weeks, but Mr. Ingano has an event planned for the town on Monday, the 13th. So I'm flexible anytime before that or after that. You know, if we have to meet for a standalone on it, that I can be available, whatever the board and FinCom.
Yeah, is that something we can do over email?
Yeah,
Coordination?
Sure, yeah, I can talk with the finance committee chair and then see what their thoughts are and then send an email out and, let people know. Again, if it's just picking dates and scheduling, that we can do as group email as long as there's no deliberation or talking about
Right.
issues.
Yeah, more
So I can
just
certainly do it that way
logistics.
and get some feedback. I know people are really busy, so I don't, want to be meeting 3 nights a week with people that have tough schedules, but certainly get some feedback from finance and then let you know what their thoughts are.
So, Mr. Chair, so are we talking about, like, we're going to have meetings with FinCom, like of a general nature of everything to do with the budget, and then we'd also be having separate meetings with FinCom that would be ALS specific? That's what, okay. And we have, our next scheduled meeting is March 6th?
6th.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, we're gonna throw dates out there now, but I don't know if like we would be, I'm assuming we'd be talking about getting together in our off weeks for some of these meetings? Okay, so we'll just consider like over, so we'll have that, the week of if going by the Wednesday date, so that'd be like the 13th and the
13th out.
Yeah.
Well, the Wednesday is out.
Right.
Yeah, the week of the 4th, the 11th, the 18th, right? Those are all Mondays, so if we, if we
Yep.
have to meet on Tuesday or Thursday,
Right.
whatever's clever.
Okay.
And I can get a list from the finance committee. Generally, they like to see certain departments, and then if there's any additional that the board members want to add, that we can make sure everyone's on the same page, so that there's somebody that's not asked that you really wanted to see, and make sure we have that covered too.
But I thought we have like 2 members of our board that meet with them like on a regular basis first before we,
At the end.
oh, at the end,
I was
okay.
gonna say,
Process.
Yeah,
Okay. Good stuff. Thank you.
Very good. Anything else?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Thank you very
A lot of
much.
things tonight on this one, so.
Very good. Next item on the agenda, administrative business. There appears to be none. And next item, old and new business. We have a letter of interest for the Commission of Disability. Someone is interested in volunteering. If everyone had a chance to review the letter. And what is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I move that we appoint Ed Arsenault to the Clinton Commission on Disability.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, there aren't many people I can say I've known for 50 years, and I used to play hockey with Ed and his son back very young in my days. So she's terrific, and she does a lot of work at the senior center right now, so I appreciate her stepping forward to help on this much-needed commission.
Very good. Any other? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next item, reserve fund transfer for the PFAS environmental consultant.
This is, Mr. Chair, just an ongoing issue I know we had last year, kind of not knowing the budget until they do the work, and depending on what DEP is asking them to do. So this last round, this 6,300 is for the last round of testing. And it appears, knock on wood, it appears that throughout the process and on this last round, that the numbers are coming in at appropriate ranges. So the consultant feels that there's probably going to be just one more step, which they will then have to file a report with DEP, and that hopefully will close out this incident. So we'll have this bill, and there might be one more for the final report later on in the fiscal year. So then if the board approves this, then Finance Committee's meeting next Tuesday, so we can bring it to them for their review. So.
one more around this level, like another around 6,000 hopefully?
Hopefully, yeah, they've been generally around that 6,000, 7,000. There was one big one, because that's where they had to bring in a crane to do some certain testing, but most of them have been in the 4,000 to 7,000 range, so I think it should probably be around that range, yeah. So it has added up over the last couple of years. It was a very big number.
Very good. Any questions or discussion on that? What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the reserve fund transfer for $6,193.80 to Parker Environmental for site testing work as required by Mass DEP regarding the release of firefighting foam during a training exercise at the Clinton Fire Department.
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
The next item, the Employee Customer Service Survey, the Collins Center for Public Management met on February 20th, 2024? What's going on here?
Yeah. I know.
Type up.
On 20, was it 23 they met or 24?
Sorry, 24.
24, okay. I didn't know if there was.
I did that on another one on that. I don't know why I want to go backwards.
with department managers to review the customer service recommendations contained within their report.
If we go backwards, it shouldn't be 1 year, it should do 20 years. But yeah, so that just, picking up what we talked earlier, that meeting was yesterday. I think it was a good meeting. Everybody showed up, not only town hall, it was everyone else as well too. And I think people understand that there's, ways that we can communicate better. And these recommendations, some of them that we're already working on with website stuff and obviously the phone system, we're moving forward. But I certainly would like to put those all into a bucket and then include comments that I've received from board members and kind of put that into a little mini report from me that I could provide to the board, and then see if the board wants to deliberate and finalize that so we can start implementation. Because some of the things that we can do right now that we should be doing and we can do, and we have started doing them, but there are also going to be some policy decisions that we're going to need kind of some backing on. And I'd like to kind of put that whole package together. But if anyone has any thoughts to kind of put out there now, or we'd definitely have this wrapped up by the next meeting. So.
Very good.
Mr. Chair, under old and new business, can we start, I know like last year, I thought it was pretty successful. We would, every meeting, we'd hit on like 1 or 2 town goals, and like Mike would kind of update us on some of the things that he's working on, and we would kind of have some feedback if we wanted to like slightly alter or add or remove stuff from the, there's like the town goal, but then there was kind of like some specific objectives or initiatives that would fall under each of those townwide goals. Is that something that we could probably start up in the next like couple meetings? Maybe doing like, 1 or 2 townwide goals at a time, and just kind of take a look at what's the high priority on some of the initiatives, and maybe the board might have some feedback on it.
Sure.
Okay.
Are you open to that?
Yep.
And we can talk to the human resources manager as well. I think she had a couple of ideas that went along with that.
Okay.
We can get on the same page, and then we can start that at an upcoming meeting.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Very good.
Mr. Chair,
Sure.
something that was unanticipated, the Conservation Commission tonight, again, couldn't make quorum. We've talked about in the past, they're down a couple members, and I think they're having a challenge with 3, always having people there. I know in the past, this board has bolstered them with temporary appointments, and I know it's not on the agenda, but I'm happy to volunteer in a temporary role just to help them get their numbers up, so it gives them a little more flexibility. I think during this time, we need our regulatory boards to be able to function. And while this is non-mayor of expertise, I'm certainly happy to learn quickly and, again, just help them be able to meet, if that's appropriate, if the board's willing to. I know, I'm not sure when they're going to meet again, but I think they are willing to change their schedule to accommodate ours if one of us wants to be on there.
Very good. Is there a nomination?
I will move to nominate Sean to Conservation Commission.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Thank you very much. All in favor? Aye.
Thanks. I'll report back.
Very good. We received a handout from the Assistant Town Administrator regarding the ARPA premium pay that we had voted on in a past meeting. Do you want to just give an update as far as the impact bargaining that is required, and then we can...
Sure. Yeah, after review of all the payroll and based on criteria, I could think that we anticipated was the board's vote. This is kind of a memo put together to outline payments that will be made. The attachment, although it didn't have the names, but it just kind of lists the employees in each department and how much they'll be getting paid. So in terms of the union environments, we do need to provide notice before we can make any payments. So they have to get a notice, indicate what they're going to be getting, and then give them an opportunity, like 2 weeks, an opportunity if they want to impact bargain, or if they want any questions or concerns, if they want to sit down and go over with us. So Labor Council is finalizing that notice now, so we'll send those out to the unions and see if we need to meet, or if they're fine and they waive any discussion, that's fine too. Then payments can start being made. So, but again, if you want to go, I know it was just, you got it today, so, and certainly it's going to be a couple weeks to give unions notice before the payroll will start. But just want to go through the memo and just see based on information that was reviewed, this beginning part is what will be going forward. There are other questions that came up, and the initial determination was that it wasn't part of the criteria set by the board, but if that is, the expectation of not of what the board anticipated, then certainly you can give further direction on it. So we will be going forward with the list there from the cafeteria, Board of Health, Fire, and Police, as outlined on the attached sheets.
Would the board be in favor of moving on the groups that we did vote to issue premium pay, so we can kind of keep it moving forward?
Yeah, I would. I'll move that we go ahead with the initial list that we had, and any additional ones, we'll look at it and
Agreed.
probably vote in the future, or not, whatever the board feels.
Second?
I'll second, yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
Any further discussion?
So this motion is going to cover the 152, 275?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
Any further discussion or questions? Thank you very much for the time
Indeed.
Thank you.
and getting this put together. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Thank you.
So we'll review we can review the document, and then at a later date, if any board members want to discuss anything else that's within this document, then we can put that on an agenda for a later meeting.
But no, that's great, and we can move forward with the rest. Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Very good. Is there any other old and new?
No, I probably should have had it on my report, but just to put out there for the board, I know we talked a little bit about it, but there will be a change in the employee health insurance this year. The union groups are meeting on Friday we did have a presentation with our health insurance consultant, Labor Council, and all of the companies that provided proposals for coverage for July 1. The union representatives were able to listen to those at that presentation, so that they would have the same information we had. So we had town officials there, but also union officials. So now the union members would like to meet amongst themselves to discuss that information that they received. And then our hope is that we'll have a meeting next week so we can have the official Public Employee Committee that can come up with some deliberations on what the recommendation will be to the Select Board. Because we really would like to have the Select Board make a determination in March, because then we have to do open enrollment periods, because all the employees, every employee will have to be re-enrolled in the new company. So when we made just a provider change under the consortium, we kind of rolled people into the new provider unless they opted out. But on this here, since it's a whole new program, we have to start with new applications and forms and new card for every employee. So that's going to take some time to make sure it's seamless for July 1. And unfortunately, with the retirees will be affected as well. Theirs is calendar year, active employees are fiscal year, but again, because it's a whole new program, we'll be enrolling them from July 1 until December, then they'll go back to their annual in January as well too. So it will be a lot of work, so we're hoping after their meeting on Friday with the union groups, the employee groups, that we can come up fairly quickly with a recommendation for the Select Board.
Very good. With the enrollment period, is it the insurance provider that is responsible for completing that, or does the town have to do anything?
They certainly will be involved and they'll be helpful, but I think it'll probably be a lot on HR to reach out and to contact the employees and, and try to get them the paperwork. And then, I'm sure we'll have sessions, in-person sessions here at Town Hall where they can come up and talk with the providers. But I think HR will be spearheading that. It'll be a lot of work to make sure we don't leave anybody out and make sure everybody is captured in that.
Is there anything that we can do to offer this additional support if needed, or?
Sure, I can find out, and see, what the expectation for Christine, what she'll, be looking for, during that process. So, we'll find out.
Okay. Any other old and new business? Very good. Moving on to community announcements. The presidential primary news from the town clerk's office. Early voting on the presidential primary election will begin on Saturday, February 24th, 2024, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the Clinton Town Hall Auditorium and take place all next week. The deadline for registration to be eligible to vote in the presidential primary election is also on Saturday, February 24th until 5 p.m. in the town clerk's office. For more information about registering to vote, changing your party affiliation, or early voting, please visit the clerk's office page on the town website. Once again, that is Saturday, February 24th, 2024 from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the deadline for registration to be eligible to vote is on Saturday, February 24th until 5 p.m. in the town clerk's office.
Yeah, so definitely if anyone in the public has questions, the town clerk office will be there 9 to 5 on Saturday, so please come and get anything taken care of, because then the following week is a week, 10 days later is the actual in-person voting, but there'll be early voting Saturday and all next week ahead of that. So.
Very good. Our next meeting will be on Wednesday, March 6th. Thank you very much. Have a great night, and I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night. Thank you. Nice job, Mr. Chair.